Righteous.
Back again. Normal time.
I love hearing you say that every week. Man.
I know you do.
That makes me happy.
It's been 90 times in a row, actually.
This is the first time post shoulder surgery, though.
Well, yeah.
So it's an exciting night.
It's true. I only have one arm, Todd. Sorry about that. You know.
The left arm's just for opening doors, anyway.
Well, luckily, because that one's in trouble right now.
So welcome back, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. We're psyched to have you back on. It's been a while since we talked to you, and obviously a lot has happened since then. So where should we start? Let's see here. All right. So as I said to you a few minutes ago, people are really excited about this match with Rustam. And I know Allison has talked a little bit about it online about how it came together, but I'd love to hear like the background about how you got the phone call and what made you decide to go do it.
It's it was an email, and yeah, from Arson. I think they just flat up asked about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they didn't. It wasn't anything exciting. They just called up and asked if we wanted to do it. And I'd already planned to go to Utah at the time. So before I accepted, I tried to negotiate more money. That didn't work out. So
Well, you got to try, right?
yeah, I got to try. So I called Bob and told him what the offer was. And he said, go ahead and take it. So it was it's about the same deal I've gotten before. I only found out later that they had asked like 3 or 4 other people before me, so it's not like first, second, or third choice. I think they just ran out of people who could make weight that time to call.
Yeah. Well, I saw Zolo at that Worlds this year, and he did not look like himself. So I think that if it had ended up being that match, it wouldn't have been very fun to watch. So I'm glad that it ended up being you. So you've never pulled him before, correct?
I pulled him once about 5 or 6 years ago, but we were at whatever 185 is in kilograms. We pulled.
Okay.
That was the first time it was at Zloty, and I think that's the first time I ever left the country.
I thought it was 2000.
Yeah, that was like 12 years ago, Todd.
Oh, well, time flies.
Yeah.
So if it was 2006, yeah, so I'd only been pulling about 6 years then.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and both of you guys obviously at much different weights. Do you carry any of those same ideas about pulling him back then with you today, or is it really kind of a thing where it's been so long that it may be a little bit irrelevant?
I think he pulls pretty much the same. Just watch his video. I'm sure he's stronger and more refined. I watch that match every single morning, but I don't expect the match to go the same way. But I'm surprised I held him as long as I did. So
Yeah, I was going to ask, because everybody, when you think about pulling Rustam, most people are going to run away, right? And really, you did pull back in that match, but he obviously has a very strong hand. He turned you in. But when it went inside, there was still a lot there. It wasn't a complete wash. Obviously, that must change your viewpoint of like, okay, where you can go, where you can't go. Obviously, that takes a little bit off of the list of stuff that you can't do with the guy. Obviously, it gives you a little bit more confidence in the arm, anyway.
Right, and I think you just flat don't ever want to be on the losing side of him. I haven't seen too many people. I haven't seen him pull too many people over that actually recovered from it.
Right.
But I've seen lots of people pull him to the losing side, and he comes back and wins.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess a smart guy would go, if you got pulled past 11 o'clock or down to 10 o'clock, probably just dump it, because I haven't seen too many people. Well, John's match did from about a few years later. but John does crazy stuff that nobody else can do anyways.
Well, so do you. You're on that list too, Todd. I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah, when I was in, where were we? Budapest, Bob was talking about both you and John at great length about how he feels like both of you have set the bar where it needs to be in terms of how to train for arm wrestling. He's saying that, John Brzenk would try to train with actual arms every day on the table, and you do training on the table regardless of whether you have a partner or not, but that your training is very table focused in general. So he thought both of you guys set good examples for everybody to follow. But he also said that nobody's willing to work as hard as you, and that's why no one's going to be as good as you.
Well, working hard's an easy philosophy to follow because you control it. But yeah, in practice, if you ever do get John on the table, one thing that John doesn't talk too much about himself, and other people don't give him credit for, but he's one of the few people that actually treats practice like a workout. Everybody who practices with John thinks they can beat John because John's always in a losing position. He's always kind of awkward because he's always working on his own, on his own motion and stuff, as opposed to people keeping score and trying to lead practice with more wins than losses.
Yeah, we've talked about that philosophy of people, treating every practice like a mini tournament, trying to, and really walking away with all those wins in their heads too, saying, okay, I can beat that guy's ass. I just, look what I just did to him, and the ways that you get better is putting yourself in those holes in your own game and really trying to work out of them and kind of getting confidence in where you have to go to get yourself out of those positions, even getting stronger in those positions.
Yeah, and John does that better than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, I've seen even experienced pullers in practice, they'll pull from losing positions, but after they lose a couple, I think they stop losing confidence in themselves. So they jump back in just to, they always go to their bread and butter move, just trying to, I guess, reconvince themselves that they haven't actually lost it.
It was interesting. We were talking to Krasimir last week, as I said, and he was saying there's many teams in Bulgaria, and that this is actually a problem for a bunch of their teams too, is that people treat practice like a mini tournament. I thought that was interesting because a lot of times we feel like the Eastern Europeans in particular are ahead of us in some way in terms of training, so it's kind of nice to hear that there could be a bunch of meatheads too.
Yeah. Well, I think you probably always want to test yourself just to know if whatever you're doing on the side's working. So it's really hard not to, unless you are someone like John who's already fully confident in his capabilities.
Yeah, fair enough. Makes sense. So I know you were joking around about being yanked off the couch to pull Rustam, but where would you say your training level's at right now?
I said I was laying on the couch. I was headed out to Utah to pull I don't know what you call it when four guys pull, but
Robin,
Ron Bath, Jordan Sill, myself, and Kenny Smith to pull at the Brzenk Cup. So I was preparing to arm wrestle a bunch of very, very good top rollers, and I was trying to gain weight anyways, but there's no money in it. It was more fun than anything else. But when I got this match, I completely changed everything I was training, and because now I'm going to be a taller guy as opposed to the shortest guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to work so hard to get a couple of inside matches with this guy. So now I'm training not so much for endurance. I'm just trying to develop straight raw power. That's all I'm trying to get.
Do you think he might try to whip out a top roll on you?
He might, but from what I've seen, every time he top rolls off go, it's to get into the straps.
Right.
And every time somebody tries to top roll him off go, they either end up in a hook or losing. So the successful who have top rolled him look like they all jump inside to get a hook and then top roll out from there.
That's what Prudnick did.
And I think that's what he does, the same thing too. He seems like he's almost always inside and then top rolls after being inside for a little bit. So I'm not so much worried about being top rolled off go. And like I said, I'm taller than he is at this point, and so my trouble should be a little bit better.
Yeah, he does seem like he needs to be somebody who has or maybe not even needs, but he likes having control of his wrist before he starts to rotate into some of these fingers. You know, he's not that super high posting, just straight side pressure kind of flashing guy.
Yeah, he's not standing back and doing this way. His top roll's still a lot of sideways dependent.
Yeah, sideways and lat, that kind of drag.
What's your weight going to be? You're going to have to cut any weight to make that 209 limit? Yeah,
I'm trying to get when I get on the airplane to leave here, I want to be under 219. So 4 kilograms or 10 pounds to lose. I'm getting there Wednesday, and we won't pull till Saturday or Sunday. I don't know what the actual itinerary is, but I'm in the low 220s now.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's definitely.
When I got the call from Bob to go to Utah, I was in the low 200s. So since there's no weight class, I tried for about a month or 2 months to get up to 230. And I was bumping around 228, 229 for a while. And now I'm just slowly trying to diet down to 219 before I get on the plane.
And then you get the call to say, hey, could you be skinny again?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So there's a question coming in from Chili for you, Todd. You can answer as much of it as you want or just tell him to go screw either way. He says, maybe you want to keep it a secret, but could you tell us how you will approach your vendetta and if there are any weak points you're trying to exploit or any places that you feel you'll be superior?
Dude, I do not think I will be superior anywhere, but my plan is... of course, it all goes out the window the first time we grip up.
Yeah, exactly.
But I am planning to stay as tight and as close to my arm off go as possible. Like I said, if he tries the top roll from the go, it's usually going to go into the straps, and I don't mind that anyways. Mm-hmm. If it goes, and from then on, I'm just going to try to fight still inside, but up high. So I'm going to be hooking kind of up high, and I want the hook matches to be more focused palm to palm and not wrist to wrist.
Okay.
And it also looks like a lot of his inside hook matches, he likes to hook kind of opened up a little bit and dragging, but with his hand vertical more up and down. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the advantages are, but if that's where he wants to be, I'm going to try and put him someplace else where he doesn't want to be. Sure. So I'm going to try and turn his hand instead of vertical. I'd rather have his hand facing up with mine kind of on top.
Yeah, it's hard. At any point, it's very tough to have weak points in the same sentence as Rustam.
Yeah.
You know. But over the past 10 years or so, it seems like your top roll game has gotten a bit better. I don't know if it's just more refined or if it's, you learn how to use rotation a little bit better. And
well, I've been working on it for 17 years. Eventually, I will have a top roll.
But it seems to, from what I can see, though, it's kind of bled into your hook in a way where you have a much better ability to keep your hand, like you said, not turned on your palm, but nice and rotated. Do you think that's going to play a big part in this?
I don't know how big it's going to play, but I hope it plays a lot because that's what I'm going to try and do. I would rather keep the match with our palms vertical or his under and going sideways, not so much across the table, but going from one peg to the other.
Krause told us last week he thinks that Rustam has the strongest hand that he's ever felt in arm wrestling.
Yeah, I don't plan to take it anyway, so that's fine.
I think your strategy is good. We consider that. And, some of the positions you were mentioning, this kind of stuff, it seems like that's something that he would be trying to manipulate people using his greater hand strength. And if you can turn them palm to palm, that would certainly minimize that. I like the idea. Anyway, I can't wait to watch it, man. People are talking about it every week on here. It's like, and honestly, people have a very hard time predicting it. Because, we haven't seen you at your current strength level or the success you've had recently versus Rustam with his resurgence. So it's a very difficult match to predict. Of course, we want you to win. Nothing against, people from Eastern Europe, but we're definitely in your corner, man. So hopefully you can come back maybe 4-2 or 5-1 or something like that. That would work.
Hell, if I get 4 matches, I might just fold the last 2. That's
let's see. I got a bunch of questions coming in here. Let's see. Yes, I know there's an echo. We're working on it. So Paul Lynn, I think you got asked this question last time, but it's a good question. He's just curious about how your training has changed over the years. I mean, he speaks about the tremendous side pressure you have, and he's also curious about the percentage of your focus that is geared towards that particular technique versus other components like cupping. So I guess 2 questions. How's your training evolved over the years, and is side pressure your main focus?
Yeah, it's as everybody well knows, I'm a firm believer in the Westside barbell system. So strategically, my training is still basically the same. I alter the mix and the makeup after every tournament or competition to cure what I think are weak spots. So I'm currently training 12 times a week. Monday is speed day. Wednesday is max effort day. Friday is Babayev day, where it's just a straight kind of hooking, dragging motion, and I'm following kind of a progressive overload system on it. I know that strategy's been debunked, but it works for a month or 2. So, and then what do I got? 5, 6, 7 of those 12 workouts are just straight isometrics. So it's a lot of heavy weight, but it's not. You don't get that negative motion, so I don't get a lot of soreness in my arm. And then to try to build up the wrist, I actually have a pull-up day, and I hate pull-ups. So part of training is just trying to be tough. So I put pull-ups and push-ups twice in my week just because I hate them so much. And if I can get done with them, it's just tough guy training. But this is my pull-up bar.
Oh, nice.
So you can see compared to my hand.
Is that a 4-inch?
You'll pull up on that forces you to lock that hand.
Oh my God, yes.
But while doing a pull-up, you want your hand and your wrist engaged, but you still got to manipulate your arm muscles. So doing pull-ups on this forces you to cup enough, but if you can't squeeze it so hard that you can't pull either underhand or overhand. So that's how I'm mainly working my hand these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say that'll work. You could just strap to it like Devin.
Joel Hudick says Miller Lite vasodilation. So
there you go.
I love it. There's more questions coming in about how do you develop that side pressure. Obviously, every time you're on the show, we get like 20 people asking that because they're all jealous of your side pressure. And Allison did post a couple of videos of one of the ways you used to develop it with the band and the strap working together. So, which I think is amazing, and I love that. I've started to do it for the last year. I don't know if it's working or not, but I still love it anyway. But are there any other tricks you want to share with people about that?
I treat side pressure and back pressure just like go read the Westside barbell system, follow their bench press program. Whenever it says bench press, just do a side pressure exercise, same reps and sets, where they do what I can't do that the Westside advocates is they have more than one exercise per training session. Whereas like when I do a speed day or a max day, it's just one exercise and it takes that whole hour. So I have other workouts which allow me to focus on wrists or to focus on back and shoulders and stuff. But it's no more difficult than what I've been saying for years. I have a speed day and a max day on side pressure. I got different handles that I use to get the what he calls the conjugate method working.
Right.
But I got one weight stack, I got a couple of bands, and I've got a half a dozen hammers. Not hammers. I got a half a dozen handles.
You do have a half a dozen hammers too.
Almost. I gave one away to Telvis.
Yeah.
You did.
Do you feel like for some reason that side pressure got a raw deal in terms of training it? Everybody seems to be scared to train side pressure really hard.
Well, it hurts, and I'm the same way. It really hurts right here on the outside of your arm. But and this happened again about 3 weeks ago. It got really sore. So for the first week, I just ignored it. thinking it would go away. The second week, I go, well, I'm getting too close to the tournament. So I took a week and did nothing but rehab and tried to fix it. Mm-hmm. And I thought that worked, but I'm in the third week of it, and it's still very sore, but it's not weak. I'm still pushing weights up. I'm still handling heavier weights than I've ever done. So I'm just grinding through it, and it's a toothache pain, but nothing popped, nothing tore. It just hurts.
Yeah, it's that damn attachment pain, right where it's in the bone. The stuff that makes you really strong, actually. It's just, it sucks.
This is the perfect time for me to ask Justin's question, because he sent me a message earlier, wanted to know what your secret was for avoiding injury.
Oh, I don't avoid it. I'm hurt. I hurt a lot.
So. Yeah, sorry, Justin. I hate to burst your bubble there.
Yeah, there's no tricks. It all hurts.
No, but I mean, we talk about it a lot. I mean, like when it comes to like what you're doing, the rehab and concentrating on that for a week or two does seem to be a pretty consistent answer people give. The tendons and ligaments don't have direct blood flow, so you have to focus on them specifically. I mean, do you do like the kind of standard PT exercises for when you injure a specific area, or do you have anything that you think is unusual that you do to rehab stuff?
What I'm doing now is it hurts going sideways, but not backwards. So what I do on all but 3 of those workouts is I do a mixture of 6 sets. It's lightweight, but I do the sideways motion that causes the pain with the lightweight, and then I just do the exact reverse of it. So I put the weight, the resistance on the back of my hand, and I reverse it, and it pumps everything up. It doesn't hurt at that time. Like this morning, it was max effort day, and the pain really didn't come until I got really high on the weight, but I was still able to lift more weight than I did a couple of weeks ago. So just because it hurts doesn't mean it's weak. And then at the end of the workout, I just did some of the reverse motions again, and then took some ibuprofen, and a couple of hours it goes away. So.
Yeah, I know that one of the physical therapists I work with up here, Lisa, who's been on the show, is she's constantly harping on doing eccentrics and doing the opposite, positions and motions that we do in our heavy lifting, and that that provides a great deal of benefit for tendons and ligaments in particular.
And Louis Simmons talks about that on his website too. So I think your body wants to be balanced, but it doesn't have to be equally strong. It just has to be worked, similar amounts.
Yeah, it has to be awake. You have to engage it to make it realize that it's still there.
All right, we have an important question here. There's like 5 people asking at the same time, and it's they think it's going to directly impact the result of this match. So, is the mustache coming back?
It's 4 weeks. I don't think I can grow a mustache in 4 weeks. So.
Well, these guys are disappointing because they're predicting if you grow it back, it's going to be 6-0 in your favor. So I don't know.
The last time I had the mustache, I lost. I mean, what the hell?
What are these guys trying to do to him?
These guys are trying to set you up. Hold on a second. These guys are supposed to be your fans over here. What's going on?
I'm not going to wear one of those extra small European T-shirts either.
Yeah, wait. Every account that wrote that question says Rustam Babayev. What the hell is going on here, Josh?
Oh, yeah, interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of Russian names and accents here. All right, here's the question. Corey Dupuis is asking it because everybody else wants to know. Since you've pulled both RVJ and Tullier, who are you picking for the super match they have this weekend?
Tullier's going to win, right? Nobody's picking RVJ to win that match, are they?
Well, that's been the predicted.
Will win like 7-2.
Tell us why. Why do you think so?
Because Tullier's managed to maintain an elite level status for years in multiple different weight classes, right? True. So he goes up and he hits the top, and then he changes weight classes, changes format, works through it. He hit me with completely different stuff last time in Vegas than what I got from him at the whole previous year. Rob, while very good, seems to always be at that same level. He's never gone out and beat somebody. People didn't really, he's never pulled a real big upset. He hasn't beat somebody nobody expected him to beat. He's just not there. And Tullier's probably had his plan of attack and his training formula months ago. And he's just working the plan. He knows what to do, and he's been in that position before. I think Rob's he just hasn't broke out of his level yet. I mean, probably everybody says Rob's got the tools, the talent, the ability, the opportunity. He should be absolutely phenomenal. He just hasn't, to my knowledge, gone out and done that yet.
Do you think it's just a matter of focus? Because we all know Craig. Craig never stops, right? Craig's always on time.
I don't know why. I'm just telling you what I see. I can't. I have no idea what causation is. But Tullier truly loves the sport. Mm-hmm. He strives for excellence instead of victory. And then the victory just comes because he's always trying to do better, and he's always working different things. Which is the fact that he's reached the level he has in this current weight class is pretty impressive for somebody who used to pull in the 165s or whatever.
That's incredible.
I just saw a picture the other day on Facebook where he was 143.
Yeah,
insane.
Because it was like my first or second year in the sport, he was pulling like the 175 class. So,
yeah, and I mean even the level of we've talked about it a bit with him actually, that the level that he reached, being one of the lighter guys in that class. One of the guys who just walked in at 195, and like you said, always bringing something new. Like a real hard worker, always bringing something new and always on top of his game. There's never, ever a lack of effort on Craig Tullier's part.
And he was on the show last week. Was last week, the week before anyway. He was on, he's like saying he's trying as hard as he can to get up to 198. And I messaged him yesterday to say that there's going to be weigh-ins on Friday. He's like, it doesn't matter. I can walk in there fully dressed, and I'm way under 198 now. So
that's a shame, but I tell people this all the time. It's just as hard to gain a lot of weight as it is to lose a lot of weight. Everybody can usually move their weight. Like myself, 4 or 5 pounds in either direction isn't that hard. 10 or 15 pounds in either direction is very hard because your body, initially your body adapts to it and starts headed that way. Then it throws the brakes on whether you're dieting or gaining weight. And like I said, I tried very hard to get to 230, and several times I'd go to bed at 230, 231, but I could never wake up at 230. I hit 229 multiple times, and you'd think once you're that close, just go nuts for a day just to cross it, right? So Baconators 3 times a day, milkshakes the whole bit, but you just start getting sick, and you can't, or your body says, I'm not carrying this, and just literally flush all that food away.
That's interesting.
Just feel like garbage all the time.
Craig's definitely, yeah. I think that's pretty much what Craig said. Unless he wants to feel like garbage all the time, this is the weight he's going to be, so he doesn't worry about it anymore. But I think when I was looking at the predictions for that match, it seemed like it was pretty much down the middle in terms of who they thought was going to win. But I do think he makes some really good points.
Equal number of Craig's friends voted, and equal number of Rob's friends voted.
Most likely, probably. That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
All right, so Derek asked a question, and I know the answer to the first part of it, that you do keep track of your strength levels. I think you told us last time that you take pretty copious notes about your workouts in general. So he's curious about, are you on track for where you wanted to be, or have you made it above what your plan was?
These are my training logs. I got 3 giant whiteboards plus a notebook. Yeah, I wish I had more time, because whenever I start training for a new competition, I usually want 3 or 4 months, because you lay out a plan, you go, okay, I got to get stronger here or here, and I lay out a plan that follows it, and then I start watching the videos of the people I'm worried about. And usually a month or 2 in, I see something I didn't recognize, so I change the program all over again. So I usually only get a couple of months of actually following it. But yeah, I don't know if it's on track to beat Rustum, but it's on. I'm definitely getting stronger. A friend of mine, Dave Dutton, gave me a weight stack about a year ago, and it goes up to 150 pounds. And when I first got it, I could lift all 150 pounds if I put the strap in my hand, but I could never move it with any of my handles. Now I'm at the point with some of my handles, I can't get the whole 150 pounds up, but I can get it moving. I mean, I can get it off stops or something. Whereas going into the last WAL tournament, my max on several of my handles is in the 100, 110, 120 range, depending on which way the table was facing, which handle I was using. I think I'm going to be able to do 130, 140 pounds with most of my handles. That's, 10, 20 pounds out of 130. So it's 10, 15% more than what I was doing.
A lot. I mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot. I agree.
And I think it's that progressive overload system, which I preached against for about 12 years, but now I'm kind of following it.
Do you think it's just, like you said before, it works for, X amount of time? Do you think it's just a nice temporary boost?
It might be.
Yeah.
And it might be that...
a temporary boost is a boost, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So,
a boost is the
100
boost.
of those in a year, not just...
So Leonard Harkless just sent in a question about, do you have any concern about the goes, and will you ask to start in straps?
Oh, I'd walk up there with straps hanging from my arms if I thought it would sway something. I don't have any concern about the goes, because where I used to be fat, now I just assume I'm always going to miss them. It seems I don't think I've been first off go in probably 5 or 6 years. So I'm used to just getting whacked into and just trying to keep my hand. But yeah, they're first, he's fast anyways, and the way the Europeans call and run these matches, it just seems faster on top of it. And then what worst thing is, because this might be my 3rd time in Poland. Whatever we get there, they always pull left-handed first, and every time I get there, I just get beat up left-handed. Mm-hmm. And part of it's the travel, part of it's the new environment and stuff. And I remember every time sitting with John going, man, I am going to get my ass whooped tomorrow. Don't worry about it. It always comes back after the first day. But everything just seems so crazy fast over there for me.
Mm. Are you going to pull in the tournament as well?
It depends. I don't know what day my match with Rustam actually is. So I believe they pull left hand on Friday. No, Friday's his weigh-in. So left's pull Saturday and the right's pull Sunday, but I don't know when my match is.
Right.
I don't know when my right-handed match is.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. It seems like that would be information they would have handed out by now.
It probably changes, and hell, they know they're going to have weigh-ins at every tournament. Yet that always seems completely disorganized every tournament.
And every tournament starts right on time too. Yeah. From what I've noticed.
Yeah, you just roll with this type of stuff. I don't worry about things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of disorganization, what do you think about the potential resurgence of the WAL? Is that going to be something you're interested in participating in?
Money, you'll take it.
Yeah, if there's money, I'll be there. I don't know where. What have you heard? Because I haven't heard. I talked to Bart Woods some at Vegas, but is there something new? I haven't heard anything.
Well, you haven't. I mean, I was talking to Ben Murray, trying to get some information out of him, which he was not giving any of. So the only thing we've heard is rumors, which are totally unsubstantiated, that they're going to return in some sort of Supermatch format rather than tournaments. Huh. But we've been trying to get Steve Kaplan to come on the show since we started, and we haven't gotten him on yet, so I don't really know. But it's possible. I mean, the Supermatch format is different. It seems like it's a more saleable concept. It certainly worked for Arm Wars, so you can see why that might make sense, but nobody really knows.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, I figured you would be. Yeah, like you said, if the money. That's what actually we said last week. If there's good money, then you'll attract the best pullers. They might not have any success doing tournaments anymore after last time, but there's no reason people wouldn't turn up for super matches.
Yeah, tournaments are a hard thing to probably film and present, anyways.
Yeah.
Even the people like Arm TV or the YouTube channels now, it's hard to follow a tournament on a video unless somebody actually narrates it on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
And too many of us looked the same. There are too many bald white guys arm wrestling. So it's hard to know who's pulling who or even what weight class they are if it's just videos running.
Mm. Yeah,
Travis is asking, how did that work for Arm Wars? I think Arm Wars was awesome. I think we all loved watching it. I don't know what the ratings were over there, but certainly one of the shows we all talk about as being successful. So I think if they emulate that format, it has a chance of being successful over here.
I wouldn't know. If I knew how to present arm wrestling to millions of people, I'd be doing it. So I'll tell you right now, I don't know solution or the cure.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with capturing somebody's personality. Really maybe going and filming along with them while they train, while they go to work, while they, all that kind of stuff. People need to know people before they know what they do as a sport. The sport almost has to be secondary in that regard. I think the personalities need to come out a bit. People need to relate a little first.
Travis just said if it worked, it would still be happening. They are relaunching, but that's a good point. It's a good point. So Michael Gould just joined the show too. What do you think about his super match with Jerry Cadorette, which is also happening Saturday?
I love Michael Gould. I just think Jerry wins. Only because Jerry's been pulling that way for years. And everybody who pulls him knows that's how Jerry's going to pull, and Jerry is still successful with that method. So, but if Michael Gould won, I wouldn't be surprised. I just think Jerry just pulls that out.
Jerry's difficult, just so difficult for so many people because he's not. You don't have to take his hand. He's just going to give it right to you and try digging that thing out. It's just once that arm gets to to his position, even if you can stop it, good luck bringing it back. It just doesn't move.
It wasn't that long ago. I remember seeing a video where it might have been some UAL video or something. I think they did King of the Table or something, but there were several videos and pictures of different people pulling Jerry. One of them was John. And there's a picture of John sitting like that against Jerry Cadorette. There's a picture of, I think, Cobra sitting like that against Jerry Cadorette. I think Vasquez had him like that. You had 3 or 4 people in different weight classes, all in the same position with Jerry.
Yeah.
So.
And if you ever see Vasquez in a top roll position like that with some of these flop wrists, you know that Jerry Cadorette gives that thing away.
Well, I know they might agree to start there. I don't just say, just let me start there.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of people who are training with Michael saying that he's stronger than he's ever been. So I'm very curious to see how it's going to go. I'm looking forward.
Well, he's been crazy strong ever since I known him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's scary to think that he can still be adding strength on him at this point. I love the idea, though. A lot of people are here saying, can you please get Todd to be quiet so Allison can talk? I don't know what's going on with that, guys.
Next week is Allison's interview.
Next week. They're used to Allison because she's like on the online presence and very humorous. So anyway, maybe you guys will get lucky. It's up to her, though. We can't force her to talk.
Well, ask her a question and she'll talk.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Send in some questions from Allison, then we can talk to him. You just wanted to just riff on stuff, you guys, do a little comedy routine for you? Come on, send in some questions. And
we'll Pantera or Static X? Yeah,
it's Pantera.
Yeah, I agree.
Static.
I agree.
They both have dead members. One of them.
Most of Pantera's in the graveyard now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're
lots of happiness.
Alive, remember?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Never mind.
He die a couple of times, can he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Question. This is from somebody who's a new arm wrestler. He said he's just starting. He's 35. He knows you started around that same age. Do you have any advice for people who are a little bit later on in years and getting started in the sport and how to avoid injury, that kind of stuff?
I have no clue how to avoid injury. I started when I was 35. You get stronger. I think I would rather have world-class strength and state-level skills as opposed to state-level strength and world-class skills. So you can control how strong you get at home, and that's something you can control and train on your own. And a lot of this probably isn't the greatest advice, but if you're starting at 35 and you don't think you're going to be doing it a long time, you don't need to learn every single technique, and you just get 2 or 3 better bread and butter moves, and develop a strategy. Your strategy should be to win, and your backup plan should be to just don't lose.
Not bad advice. Yeah, I think also, I think just the act of getting stronger really makes you more durable anyway. If you can handle more weight, you can probably handle a better hit. You can, you're probably going to sustain less injuries if you're a bit stronger in general. So I do think, the fact of just getting stronger, focus on getting strong, you're probably going to not get as injured, just the way it goes.
Right.
If you're not maxed out as much, you're probably not going to get hurt that much.
And I think I'd recommend a lot more isometrics to somebody now than I would have recommended years ago. I think with the super heavy weights, you can get those weights down, but that negative is hard to control, and I think that's what's causing my soreness. Whereas an isometric, you can still apply all the force, but you don't have that negative, and you don't have a lot of that stress going on. So I think I would coach people towards a lot more like 5 and 6 second isometric holds. And I think you can bounce back from those quicker. So I think you could do isometrics more often than you could, say, a 1 rep max effort day.
Mm. Herman Stevens' feelings are a little bit hurt.
Why?
While I was gone?
I didn't say anything about Herman unless he's
why?
the third guy just started.
No, he just posted 6 messages that
Don't
was
talk
being
about
called out. I know. I was like trying to figure out why his feelings are hurt. You'll have to explain that, Herman. Here's a question for Allison. Michael Pelletier wants to know if you've been pulled over recently.
Todd doesn't follow me on Facebook, so Todd doesn't know about those things. But
Wow.
I've had 2 straight months of not being pulled over.
Oh,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Amazing.
Thank you.
They give out badges for that? Like, do you get a token?
I get a sticker.
Okay, that's good.
She gets to keep a badge, which we call a driver's license.
All right, so let's get into some of the other vendetta matches. Ooh, and after we talk about this, John, let's show a couple of Todd's matches so we can get his commentary. I have to give John extra time to lead in because he only has one arm tonight, as most of you know. He just had shoulder surgery on Monday.
Yeah.
But so let me ask you about, first of all, which of the other matches are you looking forward to the most?
Michael Todd's pulling push car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the one I want to see again. I still think Michael Todd wins, but since push car and them did that not too long ago, I really want to see if push car changes something. Because after John and Michael Todd pulled in the UAL in California, and Nick Zena in Vegas, Michael Todd won that class pretty handily. I don't think he was. I mean, he had a good match with Chafee, but I don't think Michael Todd was in danger of not winning that right-handed class. But Nick Zena had him close, man. I thought maybe Nick Zena was pull it out. I'd like to see if push car does, because I know push car is just going to come in crazy rage-filled power, and I don't think you beat Michael Todd when you got Michael Todd down at 11 or 10 o'clock. I think you have to beat Michael Todd up here at 12 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
Finish it. It'll be interesting to see what push car does there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chafee beats Truman. I heard a lot of the analysis. I watched your shows with Toulier and Krasimir and Bob Brown, and I those guys all. First, I can't ever make these predictions correctly anyways. I suck. But everybody goes, well, Truman's going to take Chafee's hand. Well, Chafee knows what Truman's going to trade. Chafee knows what Travis did to Chafee, all right? And with like people like Chafee and even Semplinkov, when you go around just being the strongest dude in the world for a while, you don't worry too much about your skills. But once somebody who's not as strong as you beats you have to go back and think about that. I suspect Chafee's expecting Truman to pull him like Travis pulled him. So I suspect Chafee trained for that. So I think Chafee wins.
I agree with you there.
Let's see who that Eduardo. I don't know who he's pulling, and I don't
nobody does.
Eduardo, but I'm betting on Eduardo no matter who's on the other side of the table.
I know that guy's an animal.
Yeah, he is an animal. How about Tim Breslin and Gennady?
I do not know the Gennady guy, so it's really hard. It's really hard for me to make a prediction on that. But Tim knows what he's up against. So
it's fair enough. I think most people around here predicted that you're going to win your Supermatch, but obviously we are biased. But But I think, again, that's the one I'm looking forward to most. So in the spirit of pulling Eastern Europeans and Russians, let's show the match you have with Spartak. I think it was 2 years ago at A1. And one of these videos, they had a copyright violation, so there's no sound, and the other one does have sound. So
yeah,
you might have to talk a little bit more on that.
Allie's got them on her page.
Here we go.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah,
All
I can
right.
see it.
All right.
Okay, so this is like the second or the third match. He flashed me the first match. I wasn't even in it. I mean, he just pounded me. So on this match, this is where I went from at the start, instead of trying to win, I went to don't lose. So I basically locked my arm all up, and he hit into me. And then the one thing you got to worry about pulling over there is elbow foul. So once you're locked in, you just have to keep your elbow down. This guy was strong all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
That guy, it was the same pressure from him from top to bottom. He never faded. I'm trying to think. I think the third match goes pretty much the way the first one did.
Yeah.
But see how we're like really deep wrist to wrist?
Right.
I don't want to be there with Rustum. I want to be palm to palm. I want to be
A bit higher.
Yeah, I'd rather be more weight on my elbow and my hand still hooked, but with my elbow down and our arms more vertical.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever works too. I mean, I'll take a win no matter how I can get it.
Yeah,
you know, whatever.
for sure.
Good lad, man.
Yeah, he was strong all the way down.
So, which brother's stronger?
Oh, I think Hadzi's stronger than Spartak.
Mm.
But at that time, they weren't. I'm quite a bit bigger than Hadzi is at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But back then, Spartak was all I could handle at this point. This super match.
Oh, got hurt.
Yeah, Zoloff gave up towards the last. He actually told me he wasn't pulling anymore.
Yeah.
But this is how I'd rather be in this shape with Rustum, where our arms are more vertical. And but yeah, just classic European hook matches here.
Yeah,
Right,
That's what
yeah.
you got.
It was on both of those. Well, like I said, Spartak just dumped on me the first match, and on Hadzi's, when I pulled Hadzi the first match, I didn't know what to expect. But when it started, and I go, oh hell, he's like mortal. Then it was just endurance.
Uh-huh. And to be that size too, and have that kind of horsepower and that kind of sticking power, it's unbelievable.
It's insane. It's insane.
It's almost a disservice too, because like you said, he got injured in that match, and when they have. Sometimes when you're 176 pounds, 187 pounds, and you're this giant killer, sometimes you have to go after these big names because people push you there, and it's really not good for your career. Sometimes that's.
Well, it wasn't too long after that. His next vendetta match, I think, was against Jerry. Cataract.
Yeah.
So that's just mean.
Yeah, exactly. Because he beat him. I think he beat him in the overall. It was Lottie.
Yeah.
Maybe that year. I don't remember exactly, but yeah.
No, that's what happened. Yeah, Jerry was in the overall, and Hadzi beat him in the overall, like 4 rounds out or something.
Yeah, it was kind of like when they put Bresnan against Prudnik, and it's like because Prudnik gave him a match at the end of an overall, and it's like, guys, what are you doing to this guy? And then
Tim's been pulling 300-pound people all day, and Prudnik's been pulling 209 people.
Yeah,
all day.
and then Prudnik hurts his shoulder during the match, and it's like, oh, guys, like what are we doing here? There's weight classes for a reason. These guys are super, super strong. They're just strong enough to hurt themselves when it comes to being across from this other, powerhouse. It's
something about that Travis said years ago, which makes the most sense. They should have all the weight classes, but make the super heavyweight the overall instead of having a super heavyweight class overall for the big money. Just have your little weight classes. If your little guys want to pull in the overall, they just enter it like a super heavyweight, but don't make the super heavyweights pull too, because that's where you get into the shenanigans, right? Because people start dropping out because they're the super heavyweight class pays $1,000 or $1,500, whereas the big one pays all the money. Just hold that class as its own.
Right. So you're happy to get fourth place just to get in the overall or whatever. And
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially if you don't want, like nobody wants to pull a class twice. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
Herman has come up with an interesting question for Allison.
Ooh.
He wants to know, because you may know that Herman was recently married. Congratulations, Herman.
Yeah.
And he's curious if you, Allison, run a training camp for arm wrestling wives, and would you be interested in being on a show called The Real Wives of Arm Wrestling?
What was that show you tried to get on?
Wife swap.
He tried to wife swap one time. That was not okay.
Oh my God. So Aubrey wants to know, is there a single handle or arm wrestling tool that you would recommend over others?
My main handle is something I copied from Bob Brown, which is something he copied from something Igor sells. But it's a 3-inch pipe with the strap wrapped around it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wrist
So it actively tries to roll your hand.
Right. So this is what I primarily use. And other than this, I have the same technique, but it's on a 2x4, just to get a change to it. Then
he's so hillbilly.
Hand. Maybe that white pipe with a piece of black tape on it.
She calls him a hillbilly, and she was just shooting cans off a stump in the backyard. If I did that in Boston, I'd be arrested.
Then my other major handle is just a straight up pipe with the thing off the top. So you hold it here. I don't know what the move is called, but most people do when they're buried into a hook and they kind of try to rotate out.
Sure.
So that's what that hits. If you apply you put the resistance here and you've got it, in order to lift it, whether the tension's high or low, you kind of lock in order to lift it, because you can't hardly pull it because it's constantly just rolling your hand out. So
yeah, so it's trying to rotate your hand, but you have to control it with the bottom fingers so it doesn't pop out.
Yeah. So you kind of just work it from your hips. But those are the three. I mean, I got a lot more that I thought would work but didn't when I tried them. But those three seem to work out all right.
Here's a question from Loic. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, sir. But he wants to know, when you're speaking of isometrics, are you talking about static holds or applying force against immovable objects?
I am. It's against an immovable object. It's usually either my bands or my weight stack that applies the weight, but the weight is chained at a certain stopping point. So I'll pull it. Maybe I got 50 pounds on it, but I will also have the handle chained to the wall or something, which limits its travel. So I pull it to a point, and then in order for it to count, you got to hold that chain or that strap tight. So you're applying the 50 pounds that lifts the weight. But then in order to hold that strap or that chain tight, you got to apply more than 50 pounds.
Right, it has to be at least 51, right?
And the chain, I mean, you could be applying 200 pounds. Since the chain doesn't stretch, you might be applying 200 pounds to a 50-pound. Without that hard stop, if it's not an immovable object you're pulling against, you're just basically doing a very, very slow negative. The weight's just slowly falling away. But if you're pulling it and holding that strap tight, then your isometric move is all contracting muscles, and you're not just opening it up. So that's what I believe in. I believe in an actual immovable object. And those are the easiest kind of set up, because you can control the weight level, the intensity, and the time a lot easier that way.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to spend a week in your basement just memorizing all this stuff, man.
You don't have to memorize it; it's written down. But just come on out.
Just take a picture and send it to Josh, please.
Lately, we've been doing really good on the ribs when we have practice. So we got the chicken recipe down, and the rib recipe's coming along.
Okay, that's great. Allison, I have a question for you, and that's we talked about this a little bit, I think, on the first time you were on, and that was about like when Todd had some difficult weight cuts and like the role that you've played to try to keep him at an elite level, because that's something I think a lot of arm wrestlers do not have in terms of a partner who's not only supportive but active in helping them succeed. So I don't know. I mean, do you have like what? I guess what I'm trying to get at is what is like the motivation for you behind that, and why did you decide to take such like an active role in keeping him at an elite level?
If Todd wasn't an arm wrestler, I would still be going to arm wrestling tournaments. So he can either come or not, is how I look at it. I don't know. When I go with him, he is so dedicated and so focused on his goals. I mean, I just am there to help him make it happen. Keep him alive, because sometimes that gets really scary. When he goes like that.
Yeah, I remember you told us a couple stories about that time when you missed the first weigh-in at WAL a couple years back, and you had to go another full 24 hours when you're already basically completely dehydrated and calorie deficient and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, don't do that. That should be the plan.
That's the best advice I've heard on the show so far. Just don't do that.
Make weight the first time.
Yeah.
Make weight the first time. That's sound advice. So after this match, what are your goals this year?
I want to see what the WAL reconstitutes itself as. No, when the WAL folded, and these events fold a lot. I think that was like the third time I was ended up in Vegas with a tournament canceled. Just the short time I've been doing it, and people have been pulling longer than me. I've done it a lot more. I said I'd stay in halfway shape for a year to see what happened. But if nothing pops back up within the year, I'd probably quit or retire. But
let me talk to you about that a little bit more before you go on, because we were talking about John Brzezinski before we came on, and me trying to get him to come on the show, and him basically saying he's pretty much done with arm wrestling. And I talked about this with Bob Brown too, is that he was on top of the game for 20 years and he did everything he needed to do, really had everything less to prove. So at that point, you start to question what is the point of remaining involved in a sport if there's not a significant financial benefit. So I would put that same question to you. I mean, if the big money tournaments disappeared, is there a point in you continuing to arm wrestle? I mean, is it worth all the effort and work and time that you both put in?
Well, after your talk with Krasimir, I'm thinking, hell, I might retire and move to Bulgaria and grab onto one of their clubs if I get to take part of other people's prize monies just for coaching.
Yeah, go coach. Yeah, there you go.
I never considered that.
Bring your three handles and go and train them.
And for a while, we were talking about what might be a cute little project would be just to travel and set up your own super matches. Just, because the little tournaments will start back up again. If the UAL and the WAL and all those big leagues are gone, then the state and local tournaments come up again.
Right. So
maybe call out there and have them set up a super match or something and make some kind of video diary book where you just travel around the country pulling 5 or 6 super matches in a year and make a little video movie about it. But other than that, I can't. I really don't.
Artem, who provided the picture that I used to advertise the show, just suggested that you might want to think about traveling to Kazakhstan because they pay really good money for arm wrestling coaches there.
I would definitely look into that, but it's because then you've got. If I actually thought coaching would work out like that, that would be reason enough to stay active for another year or two. Just to keep my name in front of people. Of course, I have no idea what language they speak in Kazakhstan. I know in Bulgaria, everybody under the age of 22 speaks English.
Yes.
Right.
Here's an interesting question. So Herman Stevens is back with another one. He's got some good questions tonight. He's curious about what we all think about the top under 200-pound arm wrestlers of all time. He puts you as number 2 behind John, but one of his friends, who remains unnamed, says that you're number 1. What do you think?
No, it's easily John, and it's not even close. Remember when John was around 200 pounds, he was the best in the world at any weight class.
True.
A lot of where arm wrestling is today, they owe John so much because you probably will never see another 200, 215-pound man beating the super heavyweights, you know?
Right.
And that was something John did and dominated it and traveled all over the place to establish himself. So we're all better having seen what John did and learning from him. Rustom's obviously one of the best 200-pounder. I don't know. I only met Johnny Walker once, but I know enough of his history that he's got to be in one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to really do is just listen to John talk about Johnny Walker.
Yeah,
that's enough.
This is a question more for Engen Terzi probably, because I'll miss a lot of the people who aren't in America.
Well, the rest. Herman just said he was talking about the United States, so no worries.
All right. Well, then you got to throw Dave Patton in there for sure. Another giant killer. And let's see who's running around today. If Herman Stevens wasn't so huge, he might have a chance to get into that class.
Yeah, I saw him. He was trying to cut to 198 at Nationals this year, and he was not a happy camper when he came in. I think he missed by 5 or 6 pounds, but you could tell it was really hard. I think we talked about it briefly. I think it was something he could do, but he would have to be uncomfortable at all times to do it. So I'm not sure it's really worth it. If you
miss weigh-ins by 5 or 6 pounds, you are not close. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's kind of far off.
It's by 4 days.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, maybe 0.5 5 pounds is not that. That's a big miss.
Yeah. There's a couple of interesting comments. Dalton says that arm wrestling used to be about pride, not money. But I think that's an argument that is true when you've been in the sport for 5 or 6 years. But after a certain point, your body takes a beating, your joints take a beating, the traveling, the money you spend. I mean, at a certain point, like, Brzezinski said, what else do I have left to prove? Yeah. But he does ask you, do you have any interest in trying Arnold's?
No interest in the Arnold's I'm in Ohio now and it's close, but those big events that don't pay a lot of money, that's just all kinds of crazy congestion. And those bodybuilding things are just disgusting. Those bodybuilders are foul people. I cannot believe that sport even is still around. It's like that Mr. Olympias and GNC thing. You guys are dudes. You ever be in a public place and see there's always a line at the women's bathroom? Any bar, any restaurant, right?
True.
Never at the men's room until you go to a bodybuilding expert.
It's true.
And what those guys put in their body, they must be eating burning tires for breakfast. It is the most disgusting. You walk in and 2 of the stalls are out of order because some dude tried to flush a goat down it. No, there is no way.
They dare to call them fit expos.
Yeah, it is so disgusting. I can't stand. But those dudes that play in the monkey bars are pretty cool. Yeah. But that doesn't make up for the fact that you're holding it for 3 days because you're not walking into a men's room. That is gross.
Brett Norris says you can get you a discount spray tan if you change your mind.
Oh, what?
But you're absolutely right, man. It's the reason I'm laughing so hard is it's so true. We've done a bunch of events that, in combination with bodybuilding things, and that's exactly what you don't even want to go near the bathroom. I was like walking around the casino looking for a bathroom they didn't find yet because it's so disgusting, man. And there'll be there's like 60 of them in there. There's not only the guys in the stalls, there's a bunch of people like hanging around the mirror, and then other guys that are just milling around in sweatpants and sweatshirts. It's like, what the fuck are these guys all doing in here, man?
Yeah,
it's weird. It's like a meeting room.
It was the Mr. Olympia or Mr. U. I forgot which event we did in Vegas, and then there were some WL qualifiers at bodybuilding shows, and that's just gross, man.
So, are you going over to Poland as well, Allison?
Yes, of course.
Cool. That's exciting, man. I think it'll be really cool. I mean, it's cool that there's going to be so many U.S. pullers on that card. It'd be nice if they get a clean sweep. It's going to be a really fun event to be around. And I hope you get a chance to pull. I mean, first of all, if you could, would you pull righty as well in the tournament or just lefty?
I'd pull. I mean, I probably wouldn't damn it. I mean, once you're there, you
might as well.
You'll regret not doing it more than you'll, regret doing it. Because you can always bail on a man, Getting tired isn't getting injured, seriously injuring yourself is bad position or just silliness. It's not because you're tired. Mm-hmm. Those guys are so fast anyways. If you're not 100%, they'll put you out without any pain.
Right?
I would. Really, by Supermatch, it's 6 matches. A turn, to win a tournament only takes 6 matches. So it's really not that much extra work. You practice longer than what it would take to pull 12 matches.
It's strange to me, that the 6 round format gets talked up in terms of endurance, and people are like, oh my god, 6 rounds is so hard. Is it like, why is it so like how you pull 1,000 matches in training? Like why would 6 rounds be so hard?
If you're winning, you're probably pulling 5. You're probably pulling at least 6 matches if you win a tournament. You probably got.
If you're in any kind of class.
Yeah, if you make it to the finals, you've probably pulled 6 different people. And
if you're in shape, then hopefully the matches get easier too, because it's not a new fresh guy every time.
There's several people that really like the idea of you traveling around, and it's like the old school circuses used to bring the boxer all around the country and challenge the local champion. I think that could be. There's something there, man. It could be a show. We should sell it to people. I like it. I mean, it would be super cool, Todd travels here, Todd travels there. You can arm wrestle everybody, and this, some states would be some pretty good matches, but it would be fun to watch regardless. As long as Allison was there too, because you have to have somebody.
Someone's got to hold the camera.
I'd like to see what happens after this show. That's going to be funny. Here's a good question from Jonathan Laba about Marcio. Marcio Barboza announced he's going over there. Herman Stevens is going over to pull in the tournament. How do you think those guys are going to fare?
Herman's going to be a 4.
Herman's got everything. Has he pulled overseas before?
No.
They pull different. You guys have. They pull differently. They pull super fast, and they don't grip up, and they don't load. And once you get used to that, it's as long as he pulls the left-handed class without. If he pulls, that's a strong arm too. Shoot, I wish they swapped it. It's hard to get used to, because all those guys are intense and everything else. But Herman's he's world level puller for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Laba.
Marcio.
To be honest, Marcio knows what to do, and like Bob says, he's going to elbow foul. So.
That's the thing. The elbow fouls, people never until they go over there and actually reffing that it's as tight as they have it, and those super, the hard pads they use in the Mazarenko tables that you can see every single elbow foul, and that they call everything. You have to get used to that. And like you said, it takes a few matches to adjust. So it'd be nice if his weak arm was going first. But but Marcio has pulled at Worlds, so he has.
Both those guys are. I see him going into the top 4 easily. Let's see. They're. Are they both in Krasi's class?
I know Marcio will be 105 kilos. I would guess that Herman will be 95. I would think he could make that.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't 209 in Utah. Yeah, if he's 209. They'll both make top 4. Yeah. I actually left-handed. I like Herman over Krasi, I think. Let's see who else is. So he'll end up with. Hodzi will be at the 95 kilos then, right?
Yeah, if he's pulling.
But he don't pull left-handed anyways.
No,
he doesn't pull left-handed.
Yeah, it's hard.
Surprised if he shows up.
Yeah, it's they'll do well. I don't have. There's a lot of us Americans going this year then.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. There's other guys going too. I can't remember everybody. I had a list, but I lost it. So there you go. I should keep everything written down like you do.
Good job, Josh.
Yeah, well, I'm looking up.
Marcial's going to do well in his weight class.
I think so too.
Yeah, because he's fast.
It's hard to
I think
count
Marcio
Marcio.
and Herman
you know,
both have a good chance of winning.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, you know, Marcio's an animal, so nobody's ever gonna have a hard time or an easy time with Marcio. That's for sure.
Artem's saying that he's heard that Hadzi is going to be there. And Pridnek and Hermes and Sasho and Segre, Bogo. I want to see you pull all those guys, man. You know, have you ever pulled Pridnek, by the way? I don't remember seeing.
No, when the last time when I pulled Spartek at that tournament, Pridnek was there. My left was hurt, his right was hurt, so we both competed in opposite classes.
I see.
But, we spent most of the weekend with him. I mean, he had dinner with us a couple of times, and I talked to him for a long time, and we just
How's his English?
Better than my Ukrainian. I mean, you can follow him, but when I started drinking, we had to have an interpreter. So.
Yeah, I'm going to get him on the show one day, too. That'd be fun. Well, Todd, we've kept you guys on here for an hour and 20 minutes. I don't know if there's anything we didn't cover that you want to throw in there, but otherwise we will let you go on with your evening.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Hey, it's a great pleasure. Thanks again for spending time with us, and good luck over there. I'm pretty sure you're going to win, man. See you later, Allison.
Peace, guys.
And good night, everybody.